Brian, how are you?
Paul, how you doing?
Good, good. Um, any further clarity on what your plan is going to be for Saturday in Buffalo?
No, we're focused on us right now. We'll get to Buffalo later in the week, um, so we'll talk about it as a coaching staff and do what we think is best.
Can you talk about the things you've done this spring and summer? You've made some changes as far as changing some of the things you've done in practices, the OTAs, maybe more 7-on-7s, and what was the reasoning behind some of doing more of certain things and maybe less of certain other things?
Yeah, I think every year is a new year, so we've done that every year we've been here. Try to make changes if we think it's going to help us, whether it's the medical department, practice, fields, scheme, reps, pads, no pads, 7-on-7, 1-on-1s, less 1-on-1s. It's something we talk about, in the off season, and then leading into OTAs. We constantly have communication, Paul. After every practice, we do that here. So these things might change. You have a rough format of what you're going to do and talk about, and then as camp goes on, or you need more things, you need to see different pressures, you need to see different motions from the defensive side of it. We need more one-on-one work. We need more red zone work. We lay out a plan, and then we evaluate it every day.
And how much of, or any of that, one last thing, is it was geared to hoping that you can get off to a faster start, which has not been the case the last 2 years?
Yeah, I mean, we do that every year. So, the going through it and going through the structure and the process is important. Most important thing is going out there and executing and doing it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Brian Dunleavy.
Hey, Brian. Thanks for doing this.
You got it right.
With JMS, I think he's taken every rep first team center. I'm curious why that is, because analytically he struggled a little bit his first 2 years here. Have you thought about using anybody else as a center and, challenging him a little bit, put maybe a position battle like you have at some of the other spots?
Yeah, confident in JMS. He's grown since we've been here. Does a good job of setting the table. There's a lot of things on the center's plate, and steadily has improved, and think he's in a good spot. So feel comfortable with JMS and confident in him.
You mentioned that he's done a good job setting the table, and there's a lot of things on the center's plate. That's all the other stuff. How about, Brian, I think just objectively football watching people think he struggles with power rushers or bull rushes. Anything you've seen from him to say that, that's not the case anymore, or may put on some strength or anything like that from a actual blocking standpoint, not just reading the defense?
Yeah, I mean, you have to be able to do both, Ryan. So that's why we feel comfortable with him in there. I think he's improved every year he's been here. He's had a good training camp, and I'm confident in JMS.
And then the other guy I wanted to ask about is Slayton. You don't care about stuff like this, but fans do. He's moving up the Giants record book this year. He'll pass a lot of big names. Just can you talk to a degree about the consistency he's provided through what's been kind of a roller coaster? If I think back to when you first got here and he took a pay cut and he almost lost his job, and then he's re-signed with you guys twice. I mean, kind of guy who's ridden the roller coaster, and now here he is, could be, when it's all said and done, could be one of the Giants' leading receivers ever.
Yeah, Slayton is an excellent teammate, and he's been that way since I've been here. He's been productive in the things that we've asked him to do. He's an excellent leader, and I know people maybe not see it, but from behind the scenes, and I'd say particularly this year, he's been vocal, very good communicator, sets the standard on how we should practice, and that's why we wanted him back. I'm glad he signed both times back. He's an excellent teammate, and he's productive and at his craft. So he's a good veteran to have on this football team. Hasn't always been easy for him. He's had some rocky times, and he's kind of always persevered. This guy's always persevered when, I know the first year I got here how it started out, and then he just kept on grinding, and you have an appreciation for people like that are able to, weather storms and overcome things, and then look pretty good at it coming out from the backside. So he's been an excellent teammate. I love coaching him, and I'm very impressed with how he's taken another step in his leadership, particularly the communication. And there's times he's got up in front of the room and talked to the entire team and did one hell of a job. So the most important thing he knows is playing well, but he's available. He's out there. He practices. He's smart. He knows every position you could know on offense in terms of the skill guys. He's glad we got him.
Thank you.
Yep.
Steve Wino.
Hey, Brian, a bunch of your players have said you guys might have the best D-line or the best pass rush in the NFL. And then you have Dexter Lawrence and Brian Burns saying and repeating to their teammates, we haven't proven anything yet. What does it say about those guys as veterans that that's their mentality of wanting to prove themselves, even with the kind of the hype going on?
Yeah, I mean, hype doesn't get you anywhere. Action does. So whatever people think or they say, good or bad, the only thing that really matters is how we go about our business and ultimately producing when it matters for all of us. So that's our mantra. That's our mindset, is to just come in here, work hard, be prepared, and go out there and coach our best, play our best when it matters. And this group or that group, like, that doesn't really have any effect on how you play. What has effect on how you play is your preparation and your process, and then ultimately on game day going out there and doing it. So less talk, more doing.
I know you've been asked a lot about Abdul Carter, but having him and Kayvon and all the kind of moving pieces, what does that do for Shane and the coaching staff with the various things you might be able to do with that pass rush on the line?
Yeah, I think time will tell. So right now we're, in training camp, and we're trying to improve in, every area we can. Pass rush, stop the run game, protection, special teams. That's what we're trying to do right now. Where Abdul fits or Kayvon, like, you have pieces and you have to go out there and do it. So I just think going out there and practicing well and doing things you need to do to be as good as we can be, all of us, the entire organization, that's where we need to be at.
Thank you.
Yep.
We'll take two more. Dan Duggan.
Hey, Brian, I know you said you're not going to, you don't have a plan yet for playing time on Saturday. I want to ask a philosophical question. I mean, the downside of playing the preseason, it seems obvious, just injury. But what's the upside for guys who are established? You always talk about, like, fringe players or young players that might help, but like for Russell Wilson or Malik Neighbors, guys who what they could do in this league. What is the benefit, in your opinion, to playing guys like that in the preseason?
I think it's different for every team. Dan, I've done a lot of research in terms of teams the last few years and coaches, veteran coaches, and what they've done, and go back to, when I worked for some people that, had pretty good success and how we did it. I don't think there's one right formula. Play them, not play them. I think you need to do what's best for your football team. So is it a series? Is it 2 series? Is it a half? Is it, like, you talk about that as a staff as we get going. Take a look at the practices that we've had. There's no substitute for playing the game. You have to tackle. You don't do a whole lot. Some people do some live tackling, but it's not much. There's no substitute for a quarterback when he knows he can get hit. There's no substitute for an offensive guard cleaning the pocket or being very physical in the run game and gang tackling. That's the game of football. So you try to balance that with what you think is best for the football team. You're always going to have injury risk. Practice, you have injury risk. But we'll sit down and do what we think is best for our football team. If that's playing, it's playing. If it's not playing as much, it's not playing as much. But we've had a good camp to this point. I think we've got a lot accomplished. It's been a physical camp, and we'll continue to be have a physical camp here leading up through the first game.
Thanks.
Yep.
Last one, Patty Trainer.
Hey, Brian, how are you?
Hi, Patty. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good.
Just piggybacking off of what Dan asked, how do you balance getting, your starters work if they need to get work versus evaluating all the young guys that you probably want to see in game reps?
Well, that starts at the start of training camp when you're deciding how many reps, quote unquote, the ones are getting or the twos or the young guys are getting. and then you see how many reps you have throughout training camp with the players that you need to get more looks at maybe, or put them maybe with the ones if the ones are playing. You don't know what the other team's going to do either. You try to keep it as competitive as you can in practice with, call it the first team practicing against the first team. So, skillful guys, veterans that do it for a while, with maybe some of the younger guys that are just learning how to practice and have a different skill set. You try to practice them the best you can. And if they earn a spot to move up, you do that. But in terms of the preseason games, again, we'll look at everything holistically in terms of what we've done so far, and then do what we think is right.
Could I just squeeze one more in, please?
Sure.
I've noticed, like at camp, with Mike calling the plays, that's kind of allowed you to be more of a, for lack of a better term, a butterfly. You've been going from group to group to group, and I'm just wondering, have you noticed or felt a difference with Mike calling the plays on offense? Has that kind of liberated you? Refocused your time a little bit, made you feel better about getting to each group?
Yeah, it's the first couple of years I did that. Last year I kind of handled scripts and things like that. Mike's done a fantastic job. We all work together like we have since we've been here. But yeah, I'm pretty active in every area, which I need to be, and I'll continue to do that.